I want to welcome today Adam Reed from Tangleroot Farms. And Adam, why don't you share with us a little bit about the products and services that you offer, and who do you offer them to? Who is the end user? Is that a consumer like I go to local farmers markets, or do you also distribute in a B2B fashion to other businesses?
We do two main things, and it's actually both of the things you just said. About half of our business is our door-to-door CSA. So we do community-supported agriculture box. It's a CSA is a subscription to the farm, and people buy a membership, and then they get delivery to their door every week of whatever's in season. So that is end consumer for sure. Okay. It's straight from us to literally to the door of the people that'll be eating. And then the other thing is we do what we call wholesale, or what you called B2B. Is that what you said?
Yes, B2B.
Yeah.
Wholesale.
Yeah. So we do a lot with grocery stores, Healthy Living Market down in Saratoga Springs. We do a number of restaurants in Saratoga, Glens Falls area. And then additionally up very local up in Essex, Lake Placid area.
Mm-hmm. And this weekend, I was at the Glens Falls Farmers Market. I was asking the information booth whether you have a booth there, and they looked at the records and said, no, not here, maybe up in Essex County. So did you at one time have a table here?
Yeah, we did the Glens Falls Market, I believe, for 3 years total. And it was a great market. I was overloaded. When you do farmers markets, and I can only speak from the perspective of a farmer, but I'm assuming it's very similar to other people. You still work Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And then you get up even earlier on Saturday to go sell stuff. And it's just exhausting. I mean, we were doing farmers markets, we were doing the Glens Falls market, and then we were doing a market down in Saratoga on Sundays as well. So, I mean, there were years where I didn't take a day off for 4 or 5 months at a time. So it was too much. So we pared back first the Glens Falls market, and then last year, which would be the next year, with COVID, we didn't even know if farmers markets were going to happen in March when we were planning for fields and everything. So we did a full pivot to the door-to-door model, a no contact delivery, and we dropped farmers markets altogether. And it was a big risk. It was most of our income at that time was through farmers markets, but not being able to predict if they would even be around come June, July. Well, the demand was there for the door-to-door model, and still is. Yeah. And I get a weekend now and then too, which is real nice.
How many customers do you have that do the door-to-door, use the door-to-door service?
It varies a little bit. So we have 3 different shares. There's a spring season share, a summer share, and a fall share. And that spans from the beginning of May all the way till Christmas. So throughout the season, it varies. Actually, it's been fairly consistent this year, about 150. And with a little room to grow, people keep trickling in, and we do prorated shares. And so usually by the end of the summer, or I should say, hopefully by the end of summer, we'll be looking closer to about 200.
Okay, so approximately 200 customers, and presumably they receive whatever produce that they have pre-selected on a regular scheduled delivery. Is that like a subscription service, right?
Yeah, that's it. I'll pick the box every week depending on what's coming into season. And in the quantity that we need to fill 150 boxes. And it's usually about between 6 and 8 items, depending on the size of them. And then we actually offer, because we are stopping at everyone's door anyway, we offer other grocery items. So through the website, there's a members only portal and market that they can go on, and they add on other vegetables that aren't in that share, but that we have available. Whether they're coming in, they're just starting to come in and we don't have the quantity to fill the entire CSA, or they're on their way out. And so we can't fill the CSA, or if it's just, they got it last week. And so we're rotating away to something else, but they still want whatever it might be. So they can add on those items, then they can actually add on other grocery items from local farms as well. We do yogurt and maple syrup and stuff like that.
Understood. So it's really a distribution business.
And that's the hard part of the business. Yeah. It's becoming more of a distribution business than it was. It used to be not a distribution business at all. When you're packing up everything and showing up at a farmer's market and hoping everyone shows up, that almost doesn't even count. I mean, we still, of the things that we sell off the farm, we still produce 95% on farm.
Adam, you've used this in acronym several times, and we saw it on your website, CSA. Can you tell us what CSA stands for?
The CSA is the subscription service that we have been talking about, and community supported agriculture, and it's taken it's embodied a lot of different models at this point. It started off, I think, back in the 80s. It might have been even earlier. But as members actually buying a piece of the farm, like essentially providing the farmer with a fixed salary, and then they produce whatever they can for the people that own shares in the farm. And it's kind of migrated more to, it's much more customizable now. One of the appeals at the beginning of the CSA model was, good weather or bad, you're bought into the farm. And so, if there's a crop failure, you just don't get something that week. Or if there's a catastrophic failure, you might go a couple weeks without getting anything until the farmer can get back on his feet, or, if it flooded and until the fields could dry out. That was the original. It was almost like an insurance policy for the farmer, since so much of agriculture went towards big commodity markets because of the stability of those markets in general, as far as always having someone to sell to. You would have individual people that wanted a more direct link to the farm and therefore fresher food and that kind of thing, and to pay the farmer for that risk, essentially. It was almost like an insurance thing. And now, it's a lot different. And no, we expect to have a full box every week. And if that means we buy in from another farm that has something that we don't, because we don't produce it, or we had a crop failure, we buy that in. It's when someone buys a CSA share for us, it is certainly a debt to be paid in full.
The customers really have a stake in the overall success of your organic farm, and I would presume that they are contributing to a kind of local circular economy, in the sense that it's produced, it's distributed, and it's consumed locally. Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. All the money stays local, which is something I was thinking about today, actually. And I take a lot of pride in. I live in big apple orchard country, kind of up here, or as big as it gets on the East Coast, kind of up in upper Champlain Valley near Plattsburgh. And they bring in a lot of Jamaicans to prune and then pick, and they're amazing workers, and I have absolutely nothing against them. But I do take pride that, we have a small crew, and they all live locally, and that money doesn't get sent home somewhere else. Not that that's a bad thing, but I like knowing that it stays in this community, and the wages, the good wages that I can afford to pay my workers, they'll go right down the street to the store and spend it back into the community.
With SustainablePR, we work with agriculture, eco agriculture entities, and so our craft is helping organizations tell their sustainability story. So maybe you could share with us, Adam, a little bit about your view of sustainability, and how sustainability is an important part of Tangleroot Farm business.
Well, I'm actually curious to hear what you think. You did reach out to me because as a sustainability kind of interest, and I'm really curious what your research says, because I have my opinions, but they're clearly biased. So
I think we just touched on it a bit there, right? Which is the notion that the supply chain is local. And so when you look at big agriculture, right, the distribution required from point A origin of produce to the end user, the consumer like me, and where do I go to buy the bulk of my produce? Still today, the bulk of my produce is coming from a large commercial grocery chain. So Hannaford's, just to name one. We have two Hannafords in this relatively small city of Glens Falls. They're a mile or maybe 2 miles away from each other.
Exit 17 and 18, absolutely.
But I have noticed as somebody who eats organically and very healthily, that there's a big difference between the produce I buy at the Glens Falls Farmers Market that's coming from farms like yours and the produce I get at Hannaford's. And I would just summarize it as shelf life. I mean, what I get from local farms simply lasts longer. And that doesn't even bring into the equation whether pesticides have been used, for the traditional supply chain of large agriculture companies. They may or may not be on the food. I don't know, and probably that uncertainty is a little unsettling. But the bottom line is, I may pay a slightly higher margin if I go next door and I go to the Glens Falls Farmers Market than if for kale, for instance, as I do if I go to Hannaford's. But you know what? The kale I get at the farmer's market lasts longer in my refrigerator. It's typically a higher quality. And so for me, sustainability, that's sustainability. The notion that it didn't take, planes, trains, and trucks to get that to me. It was, literally a couple miles away. When I say a couple miles, we're talking maybe 10, maybe 15. But certainly not hundreds of miles, which require much greater energy consumption, right, to distribute across country. And so that's sustainability, is reducing our carbon footprint and just getting food from the farm to the table, to use the metaphor. So that's what comes to mind for me.
Sure. From a kind of a market sense. Yeah, I get that. That makes a lot of sense.
And there's crop rotation, right? Which I'm no expert on, but I imagine you are. Is the way in which you rotate crops on with soil and so forth, right?
Yeah. Usually when I hear about sustainability, I do go to the production aspect of it. And the longer that I do this, and I've been doing this for 10 years now, the less clear all those answers are in a lot of ways.
Interesting.
So sustainability is it's a beautiful thing to strive for, and it's a terrible thing to claim in a lot of senses. Like, for example, I won't claim that it's more environmentally sustainable for me to drive my van full of, say I can fit 50 boxes in my van and drive that down to Glens Falls or Saratoga Springs, which is 100 miles for me still. If I pack that full of lettuce and drive it to Saratoga, it's like, yeah, it is local. Absolutely. But if you fill a tractor trailer and you drive it from Florida, I think they might actually be moving things more efficiently than I am. It's hard to say. Like, I don't actually have those numbers, right?
That's interesting.
So I want to be very careful. I love what I do. I do believe that what we do is better for overall sustainability. It is keeping money in local communities instead of sending it across the country. And I do think at the end of the day, me and my van is a little more efficient than that truck. But I never want to demonize the big farms. The fact of the matter is, at the grocery store, what you get in that clamshell from Olivia's or Lady Moon Organics or any of them, it's probably pushing 2 weeks old at that point already.
Right.
And the fact that they can produce as much as they do and get it to grocery stores and feed as many people as they do with any semblance of sustainability, it's phenomenal to me. I never want to denigrate what they do. They feed a lot of people. And when it comes down to it, people that grow at my scale, we're still niche producers. And frankly, supermarkets are our best customers, and they are such a valuable middleman, because I can't meet everybody. I dropped out of farmers markets for that reason. It was too much. So for all its faults, the larger scale food infrastructure that's in place, I do think it does a pretty incredible job. It's not very durable, which we saw during the pandemic.
Yeah.
As soon as people got worried and supply chains started breaking down, that's when you saw a lot of the weak links in the bigger food system, for sure. So yeah, I guess we're more sustainable, we're more durable, I think.
Why do customers choose you, consumers choose you versus what you just described, which are some respectable organic brands that are at the retail store?
I think people like buying local when they can. I think our prices are usually comparable. It is fresher, absolutely. And I think for people that have the disposable income to let those be the deciding factors, I think that really does it. The freshness is really a big thing. So market-wise, sustainability, that would be.
And Adam, that might be another aspect of sustainability, is the money stays in the local economy.
Outside of the production aspects of sustainability that we're striving for, that's maybe not even outside of that, because like I said, I take great pride in the fact that my workers, that money goes right back into feeding their families, and they're right down the road. I know all of them at this point. So I think it's even bigger than when people say, hey, I get to buy local. I don't know if they understand all the time how important that is. I live in a very small town. Essex has I think we have 400 registered voters in the whole town. So to be able to keep any dollar you can nearby is awfully important. So
when we're talking about organic vegetables, you can create a great product, be a great farmer, right? I assume, and really have a knowledge base of crops, soil, and environment. All that stuff that goes into making a quality product for the marketplace. But how does Tangleroot Farm get the word out? How do you market your services? What are the vehicles in which you are able to communicate new crops, new services, new membership benefits, what have you? How do you do that?
As far as communicating with our current members, we do the social media thing, Instagram, Facebook, and then we do an email newsletter. I'll be very frank, I don't do either of those things at this point. I know my strengths, and they're not in front of a computer. And we have two people that just do a bang up job with both of those. And I get constant great feedback, and the newsletter gives out recipes and stories. Actually, at this point, the woman who writes the newsletter, she is a CSA member, and she's got this great take on essentially the blog of a CSA member. It also, there's a section of like, hey, what's actually going on the farm? Because that's important to communicate to people. But at the end of the day, it all starts looking the same from outside. We planted lettuce again this week. Yes, we pruned tomatoes again this week. And you can only tell that to CSA members so often. So she's doing a great job, and it's a really great take on the whole CSA experience. Offers tons of recipes. The woman I have doing the Instagram posts, she's actually the wife of my farm manager, and they cook amazing meals. And they take pictures of it, and then they'll take a CSA box home, and they'll explode the CSA box on their table and take a picture of it and send it out there. I take no credit for almost no credit for the customer communication. I respond to emails when people have questions.
Now, are they, Adam, understood. Are they on staff, or are these volunteers / members that just like to help you out?
Oh no, they're all paid. All employees get a CSA share to begin with. So and then they're paid hourly. Yep.
Got it.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned one of the challenges is, how do you put a different wrinkle on what you're doing? I would imagine, tell me otherwise, but I would imagine Instagram, being a photographic platform, provides a organic grower like Tangleroot Farm an opportunity to showcase the operations day in and day out. Different images of different food, different processes, maybe staff, people behind the scenes. Have you found that to be the case? Have you found Instagram to be particularly helpful for your business?
Instagram's really, it couldn't be a better platform for what we do. I'm so lucky. There are so few careers, jobs that people go to where they just get, postcard worthy views and pictures they can take daily if you're looking. And my biggest problem is the camera on my phone is always scratched to hell, and so I can never do the pictures justice. I'm always calling my friend, my employees over to take pictures with their phones. But Instagram's perfect, and you can see. And our Instagram's great. Other farms, they take even better pictures because they're, better at it than I am. But it's a perfect medium for communicating what makes farming special.
We had a client restaurant outside of Philadelphia, and we had to train the general manager and the chef on how to take the right angles and the right compositions of photographs.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're in the food business, it's all about images of the food. And so you got to execute the photograph well. And that is, 50%, if not more, of the battle of making it work for you on social media and getting high engagement rates and likes and shares and so forth. So as you look forward, Adam, what are some of your ambitions for Tangleroot Farms, and are there any aspects of marketing communications that, if you were aspirational, you say, well, I'd love to be able to do this at some point, or this would be really helpful to our business and our goals? New member recruitment.
Well, it's been a bit of a sticking point this year. Mm-hmm. Last year with the pandemic, I was turning people away, and people are coming out of the woodwork. They wanted to lock down their food supply, and contactless delivery sounded great. You didn't have to go to the grocery store, and so that happened. And now that all the restrictions are lifting, people don't mind going to the grocery store anymore. They're traveling more, or the signups actually stayed flat for us. They were all-time high last year, which is great, and so flat is hardly terrible. But we were really hoping to push and increase the size of the CSA for sure. So new member recruitment, when people are living their normal lives, has proved a challenge. And so I've done the Facebook ads and the Instagram ads, and it hasn't really panned out. So I'm looking into things like mailers and it's a new problem to have. So we're still looking into new things. And we'll see how it goes. At the end of the day, we need a very small portion of the population to actually sign up to make a big difference in our business. It's a benefit of being real small. So,
Gotcha. Yeah. Do you think in terms of new member recruitment, which might be more valuable in terms of communicating what you do? Would it be the convenience of having organic food that's locally grown, delivered to your door? Is that more valuable than paying a premium just to keep the money back in the local economy and supporting local farmers? Is it pure convenience, or is it more of a philosophical commitment that consumers would want to do well by doing good and supporting a local farm?
Oh gosh, what would I say? Maybe about 80-20 convenience, I think. The convenience is huge. And honestly, like, I live in a place that is, per capita, we have tons of farms that do very similar things to what I do. We all do it different ways. We put a little spin on it, but shoot, at the end of the day, a lot of us are growing the same seeds. So it's to set yourself apart from other growers when their quality is super high and the freshness is there too. I do think that the delivery is really what sets us apart in that sense. And then when people are part of that, that might, hook a customer, that aspect, the convenience. Everyone loves to be a part of the farm once they are, the newsletter, that communication. It's so much more than just a regular customer experience. But it's not, I don't know, I can't speak from a customer's standpoint with any authority, but it's something that is maybe a perk that makes it really special, but definitely the convenience gets them in the door.
You just brought up something which is essential consideration in marketing, which is differentiation. So if you do have peers and competitors, and Essex County having a plethora of organic farming, how do you separate yourself from the crowd? How do you create perceived value that your competitors may not have? And so I'm sure you've given thought to that. And, how can we stand out and be different from other farms who, as you said, I thought that was brilliant. We all have this, we start from the same seeds. So is it something about your CSA, about the delivery that is differential for you?
Well, the door-to-door nature of it, it's farmers markets are a wonderful thing if you have the time and ability to go out every Saturday at the same time and walk around and carry all your vegetables through a park and go home. And at the end of the day, like if you don't want to spend half your day going to the farmer's market, there are the diehards we found, and that show up every week, and they're freaking amazing people, and they are like the lifeblood of those vendors. But I don't know. Once I gave it up, I kind of realized, like, I feel like it might be asking too much. We don't run on village economies anymore. People are really busy, and weekend time is precious. So to ask someone to spend 3 hours to come do their grocery shopping on a Saturday, it doesn't make sense to me anymore. And I think that resonates with customers because they want to support local farms. They want to buy organic, local, fresh food. But if the cost of doing that is half of, what amounts to, a quarter of your weekend spent going shopping, maybe it's just more appealing if all of a sudden that can be dropped off at your door and you can get on with life.
Yeah, let's be honest. I mean, we live in an Amazon world now, and consumers have become accustomed to, especially in light of the pandemic, to be able to order over a website and to expect that level of convenience that it comes right to their door. I mean, I live in an apartment building, and it's the delivery section. There's just boxes of fresh food, Hello Fresh and organic this, organic that. And, I think businesses like yours are finding a way to evolve in that type of digital world where, they orders over the internet and delivered to your door. So kudos for you. Do you have an army that does the distribution, or is that all you?
Oh gosh, on bad days, it's all me. Generally I drive down. We have 2 delivery days. There's the very, very local route up here in Essex. That's on Fridays. And then generally down the Glens Falls, Saratoga area, I drive down the Northway, and I have the van packed up with wholesale orders and CSA boxes. And I've got, I think, about 4 people now that meet me by the highway. And I offload, between a dozen and 25 boxes to each person, and they go and do their own loops. So we get every box delivered by right around noon, actually. And so on that day, it's about 90 boxes show up to the door before noon. I think it's pretty good. And then I hit the wholesale deliveries, and I head right back home. So it doesn't kill me, it doesn't kill my day like a farmer's market always did. Give some more local people a little bit of pocket money, and everything gets delivered. Everything's still cold inside the box. So it works out pretty well. And I'll tell you the overhead, the cost to me, even though I'm paying however many drivers and everything, it ends up being about the same as a farmer's market at the end of the day.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's actually really good. It's been great for this farm, and I think great for the customers too, because they seem to like it.
Well, I don't know if this is necessarily analogous, but I'll share an anecdote. Out of Albany, there's a organic food little small operation called Healing Meals. I don't know if you've heard of them, but
nope.
That's the cooking. So it's a chef, and he's got 2 people working for him. They got a small kitchen in a suburb of Albany. My experience was I ran into their booth here at the Glens Falls Farmers Market, and it was like prepared meals for a busy professional. And it's all organic and it's all local. All I do is heat it up. Love it. I guess he had a similar consideration you did with farmers markets. He said, it just isn't worth my time and my money to haul all this up there, refrigerated, to be on site for 4 to 5 hours. And what does he do? Now it's, if you're within 10 miles, you can get a delivery to your door, similar to what you're doing. If you're beyond 10 miles, which I am to Albany, then you've got to go and you have to pick it up at the store. But he's a full e-commerce solution on the website. So it's very easy to place your order. Yes, we have to travel a bit to go get it. But I get the sense that he went through the same set of considerations perhaps that you did with respect to what is the value of these farmer market distribution points, as opposed to us finding our own solution to reach our customers.
I started farming when I was 24. And so I went 10 years without a weekend in the summertime. And the value of that weekend is
priceless,
gigantic. It's so huge. I went camping this last weekend for the first time in about a decade. It was fantastic.
So I appreciate that. I took both Saturday and Sunday off. Probably the first time I took both days on a weekend, and I don't know how long. So I get it. So Adam, let's wrap up with just kind of a personal story, your personal story of how did you get into this business? Did you grow up on a family farm, and why are you so passionate about organic farming?
Let's see. You're assuming I'm passionate about organic farming.
Oh,
all right.
Well, organic vegetable. I mean, that's your business.
It is my business. No, I love it. No, I did not grow up on a farm. I grew up in Saratoga Springs. I don't know. I did the whole, high school, went to college, went to SUNY Geneseo for 4 years. Got out, wanted nothing to do with my history degree, didn't have any interest in that, and found a program called WWOOF, WWOOF. It's Worldwide Opportunities in Organic Farming, and it's essentially a work trade directory of farms. And the farm signs up to be in this directory, and then you can access it, and for however many hours of work a week, they'll give you room and board. And without a better plan, my sister actually recommended it to me. And so I tried it. And I didn't really have interest in farming. I had no idea. But I'd always taken a manual labor. And I wanted to travel, and it took room and board expenses out. So I did that with kind of plans to travel a lot. But after my third, host farm, I loved the work, and I found a farm that was looking for interns, and so doing the same work but making a little money. And that led to, I think, the next year I was the crew leader on that farm. And then year after that, I was managing a different farm nearby, and absolutely love the work. It's a mental gymnastics, getting through the day on the farm, and it's satisfying. And it was hard for me to understand in my 20s how people found what they were dedicating their lives to. A cause that was worthwhile, that you could really, at the end of the day, say, I am making things better. And I found that with farming. And like I said, the more I do it, the more I understand there's gray area. It's not the same as it was when I had all those ideals cemented into place when I started. There's a lot of gray area, but it's not perfect. But so far, it's the best I've come up with. And I've managed to make a living out of it and not have to work for somebody else and do work that I really enjoy doing and deal with customers. I've found the people that support the farm, I don't think you get the same love in other industries from customers. People that just stop you out of the blue, whether they're buying something or not, and say, really look at you and say, thank you so much for doing what you're doing. It blew my mind. So it's important to them, and that means something to me. So yeah, I guess that's why.
That's great. What do you think appealed most to you about farming? I was going to suggest maybe it was the physicalness of it, that you're getting literally getting your hands dirty every day. It's a lot of manual labor. You're connected and in touch with the earth. But you seem to suggest that it might have been something else, just that you could have an impact in your local economy, maybe.
At the beginning, it was the labor. I loved it. And most of the farm was built on my 25-year-old back, which was the wrong way to build a business. And but I've come to appreciate so many more aspects of it. Hopefully in time to still have a back left. I think I got out in time. But the community side of it has really come to mean a lot to me. And right. It's every year, not last year, and I missed it dearly, but every year, the chaos of the season and it is a business. So you're looking at numbers and sales and all these things and obsessing over the spreadsheets and everything else and the books. And every October for 2 or 3 years, we had a farm party. We did a little pig roast and CSA members would drive, an hour. Some of them drove 2 hours to come be on the farm for the evening. And it had me in tears every time. You mean so much to them, and you don't realize it because you're in your own little world, and you're growing food and you're packing it in boxes and sending it out the door. It means a lot to people, and that's really important. That's
great. Yeah, you can see the benefit on the faces of your customers when they express their gratitude, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
Adam, thanks so much for spending time with SustainablePR today and telling the story of your personal story as well as Tangleroot Farms. And as I said, we'll be sharing your story with our followers, and we'll be in touch with the final product.
Great. Thanks for having me. That was fun.
Have a great day and good luck to you.
Yeah, take care. Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.